I put her name and everything on the board because on Friday you will be doing a one-page reflection. We always reflect what we learned, what are our takeaways from the talk. So she, again, is with the Kentucky Innovation Network, and she is director of the Elizabethtown division of the Kentucky Innovation Network. Came to us this morning from Elizabethtown. So I'm going to turn it over to Lisa. We're glad to have Noel Wilson with us today. He's a graduate of Lindsey. He's a member of the Advisory Council of the Center for Entrepreneurship. And he's here today as guest. And Jeremy at the back, he's become a regular at our class too. Jeremy Cloyd, our Vista rep at the college. He is also a member of our Advisory Council, and he is going to be filming the talk today so that we will have it archived for future use. I did get Lisa's approval of that before we started. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Lisa. Thank you so much. We look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Thank you, Miss Linda, for having me over here. Noel's heard this talk so much, I know he could just give it himself, or Linda could give it, you know, it's just a rerun. But I'm so happy to be here. I always love to come over to Lindsey Wilson. She said my office is in Elizabethtown. I am the Elizabethtown office of the Kentucky Innovation Network. But I don't just serve Hardin County. I serve you guys. This is part of my territory. I officially have, I think, 10 counties that Kentucky has assigned to me. And you're part of the Central Kentucky region, so sometimes you might see somebody from Bowling Green come up here because you're really technically theirs, but I adopted you. So I get to come over here, and they wanted you this year after last year of great success. They said, well, you know, Lindsey is really, really ours, and we'll come up there and take care. And I said, no, I've got a relationship with that school, and I kind of want to keep going back over there. So I just love it. We have a great time together. Had a great time with all of you the other day. I think just about was everybody in that business canvas workshop the other day. Yeah. And I think I talked to a lot of you because I'm looking around there and I remember your idea, that we chatted about what you all had going on. So everybody here is a budding entrepreneur, right? You've got a great idea that you're working on. Is that what I hear? And you're working on business plans. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about today, our business plans. And I know that we talked about it a lot the other day in that big room with that business model canvas deal. You know, and we were talking about that before it came over here. I know it's probably confusing. Did some of you find it confusing, the things, the way it was laid out, you know? But I think it's a good tool. If you look at it and you start writing down some things, it makes you think, okay? Just give you some ideas, as Christine likes to put up those sticky notes, and if you just keep it up in your room or your office, wherever you're working, whenever you come up with something and you stick it on there, maybe that's what you're already doing, right? Then it'll help you when you're working on your business plan and you can come back to it. It's just a big worksheet for you, okay? But today we're going to talk about the business plan. So, why do you all think you even need a business plan as an entrepreneur? You've got it all right here, right? You know exactly what you're going to do. You got it right here in your head. Why on earth are we making you do this awful thing, this horribly excruciating job of doing all this writing and research? Does anybody have any idea why you might need that document? What might you use it for in the future? What do you think you might use that for?
You have to prove to everybody else that you know what you're doing and you know what the business is going to get you, so to get investors or sponsors.
Exactly. That's exactly it. You've got to show other people, right? Because you're probably going to be dependent on some other people. You're going to need possibly, as you know, unless you're, you know, independently wealthy, to get this effort off the ground, you're going to need some help somewhere along the line. You're going to need to go to your local friendly banker, and I used to be a banker in a previous life. And the first thing that banker is going to say when you go in, you're going to say, man, I've got this great idea. I'm going to do this Uber deal, and then I'm going to make $1 million down there doing it. And the guy's going to go, oh, I love it. Let me see your business plan so I can read all about it. So you got to have it. You got to have that business plan. You've got to have it for investors. It's not just for bankers, but for investors. If you're going to go out and you're going to try to raise some cash, which I'm sure is what we're going to talk about too, as part of your business plan about raising venture capital. When you go out and give a pitch, and I know you all are working on your pitches, right? Which is the fun thing, to get up and do your pitches. But after you get that pitch, that's what these VCs are going to want. They're going to love the pitch, and they're going to say, we like that idea. Let me see your business plan. Let me take it home with me. So a business plan doesn't need to look like War and Peace. You know, we don't want it to be something like this because your investors won't read it. Your banker won't read it. It's something that's going to lay on their desk, you know. So you've got to make it not too thick, not too much. We always say never more than 25 or 30 pages, and that's a lot, okay? You're not going to be doing anything like that, but you don't want anything too huge. And you want to have it to where it really piques their interest when they read that abstract, the first opening paragraph, okay? You got to whet their appetite so that they say, oh man, I got to read more, okay? So those are the reasons that you need a business plan. Your business plan, you need it for that, but there's another real important reason that you need it for. You need it for yourself, because that's how you are going to think through this. And trust me, there are going to be things when you get into it, and there's things in there like marketing channels. Okay, maybe you've never even thought about how you're going to get your widget out in the marketplace. So then when you get to that part of the business plan, you're going to start thinking about it. Maybe exit strategy, about what you're really going to do with the company in the end. Do you really want to just keep it and make the widgets from now on and sell them, or do you really want to sell the company off to someone else? But those are things that you're going to start mulling around in your head as you're writing your business plan. So it is your document to help you even more than it helps you get loans or get investors. It's really for you, and it's hard to tell you that when you're thinking about doing it. But so many people and entrepreneurs that come in, that's what I do every day. I work with entrepreneurs and startup companies and people that come in to see me with an idea. And I mean, it may be a real half-baked idea, you know, that they thought about in the bar last night and they've written it on a cocktail napkin. Or that maybe they come in and they are already in production. But we want them to develop a business plan because it really helps them to think through things, okay? So just keep that in mind. It really is for your own good. And a business plan is not something that's set in stone, okay? It's not written and done with. It's a fluid document that you're going to go back to all the time as you're working on your business. You're building your prototype and you found out it doesn't work this way. You've got to make it do something else, or you've decided it can do 20 other things, and then you're going to unfold that in the business plan. You're going to see another product line develop. So always remember that your business plan is something that's fluid. Okay, it's never kind of done with. You're always going to be updating it and working on it all the time. Okay. Before I forget it, as we talk about investors, let's go back to that for a minute. We have a group of investors over in Hardin County, and as they do all around the state. They're called, our group is more, the two terms I wanted you to be familiar with, and maybe you are angel investors. Have you heard that term and discussed angel investors? There are angel investors and there are venture capitalists. And we have a group over in Hardin County, and they're called the Lincoln Trail Venture Group. In Lexington, they've got the Bluegrass Angels, they've got the Enterprise Group in Louisville, and all around the state. But this is a group of investors that look at investment opportunities every month, so that someday you all might come before them and say, I want to give you my 10-minute pitch. We allow a 10-minute pitch. I don't know how long you all have been working yours up for, but they listen to 10-minute pitches every month. We usually have 2 companies that come in, or 2 individuals, 2 aspiring entrepreneurs that come in and give their pitch. And they give a 10-minute pitch with a 5-minute question and answer follow-up. And then if they bite and they like it, they take their business plan home. And they do invest. We have one company that just, she was looking to raise $600,000 and she pitched to our club and to the Louisville club, and she raised $1 million in 1 week between our club and the Enterprise Angels in Louisville. So it's just and it was just this girl with this idea. You know, she's an insurance adjuster out in the field writing up claims, and she came up with a better way to schedule insurance adjusters' appointments, and she's done this new company called Schedule It, and it's just great. So it can happen, you know. I mean, she's just a regular girl from E-Town that came up with this idea on the job. So don't think it can't happen to you. It really, really can. But I just want to throw those two terms out. VCs invest in you usually if you're more, you have sales and you have some, you're kind of more of a sure thing, okay? Your company is up and going, you've sold a few widgets or you've got contracts. VCs are a little bit greedier. They like to know. They're kind of like those, you know, those Shark Tank people. That's what I say. Everybody can relate to that Shark Tank show. So we have our venture club every month, and I always say we're kind of like that, but we're not nearly as mean and nasty as those people. They're just horrible people on that show to the people pitching. Our people aren't like that. But it is kind of, you know, they ask them questions, you know, and things that we're going to talk about that need to be in your business plan. But our group is more considered angel investors because we look at a lot of early on. An angel investor is somebody that comes in real early, like you all are right now. You're probably all looking for an angel. That's somebody that just believes in you and your idea and where you are right now, even though you haven't proven your concept, you haven't cranked anything out yet. But an angel will come in maybe and invest some money to help you, maybe build a prototype, maybe to do a feasibility study, do some patent work, things like that to help you to get ready to really commercialize the idea. So those are two terms that we always like for you to be familiar with if you're going to be out here in the entrepreneurial world, to know the difference between an angel and a venture capitalist. Now listen, I can just sit up here and just ramble on and on. You all stop me if you've got any questions, okay? Because I know you're writing your business plan, right? You're in the middle of it.
So venture capitalists, they can't come in the beginning as well?
They can do that, but typically they like more of a sure thing. Okay. They like you to be a little bit more down the road. Okay. Yeah, that's typically where they get their name. That's what the difference is between the angel and angels are just, they kind of just believe in you. Okay. They believe in you early on. They're angels that land. Okay. So let's talk about the business plan itself, right? Because that's what you all are down in the trenches right now, writing your business plan. How many pages have you all talked about? What makes up? What are you all thinking about how long your business plan might be? You got any idea?
We have an outline.
You got an outline?
From our books.
Okay. What does it tell you? How many pages not to go over? About any certain rule?
I don't think it says any like a certain number of pages, but it has the
what makes up a good one?
All the sections and what goes inside each section. Okay,
good. And I may not, what I'm going to tell you, may not, certainly probably won't go on with that book, but it will hit on some key things probably that are the same.
Lisa, it does, because you mentioned harvest strategy. That's part of the business plan outline that they're working on. So I think you're right on target.
I think it's everybody all over the country wants kind of the same thing in a business plan, whether you're an investor or you're a banker or, you know, an entrepreneur. These are the things that you really need to cover in it. So the main thing, of course, in the very beginning, you've got to paint a picture. And you know, a lot of this is writing skills. That's what we were just talking about. My daughter's working on an application for a different program, but it's all, the key to it is writing. If you all have good writing skills, I mean, you can convince anybody of anything, you know. So you've really got to hone those writing skills. And if you don't have them, have someone to help you, have someone to review it that is maybe a good writer. You always want to, I know this is nitpicky, but you need to watch your spelling, your punctuation, because that's the first thing. If an investor is looking at that and you can't spell cat and dog, they're sure not going to invest $100,000 in you. You know, they'll toss it, they won't read any more. So make sure that you want to just watch those little things, that your grammar and punctuation and everything is correct in your writing. But the business plan is just a written work that tells your story. So in the beginning, the thing that you want to talk about is what problem exists in the world that you're solving. You've got to paint a picture of the awful problem that exists, right? Because you're going to come in then with a solution and look like a genius. But you have to convince the reader that there is something wrong out there, okay? That's the secret of a good invention. You know, you've always heard necessity is the mother of invention. Well, it's the truth. That's what breeds a good idea. So, I assume everybody here knows about your idea, right?
Yeah.
It's not a secret. Okay. So, you know, it's easy to say. You paint the picture of what's wrong. We have all these tourists that are coming into Lake Cumberland. They don't know the lake. It's a huge lake. They don't know how to get around. There's nobody to show them, and you turn them loose in these big houseboats and what have you. It's a problem, you know, and then, you know, people are getting lost, you know, all these things that are happening, or they're out drinking and your Uber thing, and they don't need to be driving a boat, and you can get them home safely, right, that you're going to protect the tourists and save their lives. So those are things that in your opening you're going to talk about. The horrible problem that exists, and that's what you want. You got to have a horrible problem, and you're the genius that's going to fix the horrible problem, right? So do a good discussion of that in your opening paragraph. You'll lay it out there. What is the problem that exists, and what is your solution? Okay, that's when you go into detail. His solution is to offer a service to take people around on tours and to come and fetch them when they've had too much to drink. He's going to be their water Uber, the dock Uber, right? Yeah. Whatever. But then, so that's it. That's your hook. That's your opening. That is in your opening abstract. Your what the problem is and what the solution is, and then the main thing, why you're doing it, why you're an entrepreneur, is the value proposition that we talked about the other day, which is how you're going to make money doing that, right? Because you're not just doing it for the heck of it, just because you want to cruise around Lake Cumberland. You're doing it to make money. So then you've got to have a good discussion in your business plan about how this great idea is going to make money for you. Okay? That's the value proposition. So you need to think that through a lot. You heard your financial guru come in the other day, right, and talk to you and gave the big long talk about all your financials, and I know that was a lot, okay? It was a lot from him in that hour. It's just like too much. Your brain just can't take in all that, I know. You've got to kind of reflect on that and take your time with it. But basically it just comes down to what is the cost of what you're making, what is the cost of your service, and what you're going to sell it for. Okay, how much money are you going to make? And you really have to be realistic when you're doing your projections on your financials. It's hard to do. Who knows? Who knows what you're going to do? Your 3 years and your 5-year projected. Sometimes it's just a work of fiction, you know, and we know that. We know. Investors know that. But you've got to give it your best shot. You know, if I have 100 customers this year, maybe next year I'll have 200, and then maybe I'll have 500, and what you realistically think according to your marketing plan that you can do. But think that through. You know, you're going to be going back and forth in your financials as you work on that value proposition of what money you think you're going to be able to make with this, okay? So, good discussion of your value proposition. That's going to take up a lot of it. Then other things that you're going to discuss in that business plan, and what I think is the most important thing, is the market feasibility. To me, that is always the most important thing. I work at the Kentucky Innovation Center, as I said. We work with entrepreneurs and we work with people with new ideas, with inventors. A lot of people, you know, just come up with a lot of things, and some of them are really neat and some of them are crazy, you know. I always say that the people that I talk to, it's a fine line between, you know, genius and nut job. You know, that's who I'm talking to. So you've got to know if there's a market for what you've come up with. And I can tell you some sad stories. There are people that have been into my office over the years. I've been doing this for 14 years. I have had people that have come in to see me, and they will have a patent on something, and they'll have this big document, and it really is from the United States Patent Office with all the blue ribbons, and it's really nice. And they've paid $10,000, or I think people paid $20,000 before they ever saw me. I never laid eyes on them. They would come in and they have a patent on something. And they think because they have this document for the United States Patent Office, and there's not one like it anywhere in the world, this thing, that they're a shoe-in to make $1 million. And that's not true. That is so not true. Just because you have a patent on something, you might have a patent on something that's really stupid, and you're never going to sell one thing. I mean, you can go sometimes and look at the United States Patent Office at all these crazy patents that have been issued. I mean, you won't laugh. I mean, there's just crazy things. And that can happen. The reason it happens, my theory, is that, you come up with a good idea and you go see a patent attorney, and there are good patent attorneys and there are bad patent attorneys. Miss Linda's heard me tell this before, but I just want to get this warning out there. A good patent attorney will walk you through it, and he'll discuss the idea and say, if he thinks it's crazy, he might say, I really don't think you ought to spend your money here. Maybe you need to do a little bit more research. You need to check around. You need to do a little bit more. A bad patent attorney will say, there's nothing like it in the world. Give me $10,000 and I can get you a patent. And that's what happens. It's happened, oh my gosh, it's happened to a lot of nice people that just make me sick. So you always want to be leery when you get wrapped up with a patent attorney. You might want to shop around it and be realistic, because, back to what I was talking about, the most important thing is making sure there's a market for what you have invented, okay? Probably you haven't invented anything totally new in the world, okay? Unless you're an Einstein. You're not going to come up with something totally new. There's always something out there, usually, and I always say this, we're going to talk about competition here in a minute, but when you're talking about competition, you never want to say, there's nothing like it, there's no competition. Don't ever say that in your business plan, because there is competition. And I always say that there is competition when the first car was invented, okay, the very first car. Well, guess what? There was competition. There was a horse, because that's the way of doing it before the car came. Before we rode a horse, we had legs. So there's always a way of doing it. You may have perfected it and come up with a better way of doing it, but you never want to say, there's nothing like it and nobody's doing it. There is. There are Ubers now, but yours is unique, because yours is going to be a water, there was a taxi service, but yours is unique. So you never want to say there's no competition. But back to the market. You want to do a good market research. And it's so easy to do today. I mean, you can do everything on Google, Any idea you've got, plug in a few keywords, and it comes up there, okay? Somebody, I think I popped somebody's bubble the other day because they had an idea for something, an electronic device, and I said, well, it's out there, and you Google it up, and there it is. So do that. When you think you've got a great idea, plug in those few keywords and see what comes up. You just have no idea. In my office, a lot of people come in, and that's what I do. I just turn around, and you think, well, haven't you looked online? So just do that. Do some good, and then if you don't see anything online, great. You might go to the United States Patent Office website and do a quick search. You can just do that, just as easy as Googling up anything. Go to the United States Patent Office, quick search, and then put in a few keywords and see what pops, okay? So that you know what's out there. The other way, of course, is the old-fashioned way, shop. Go to stores. If you've got a tool, start looking around Lowe's. Go to Home Depot. And if they don't have what you're looking for, why don't you have one? And then maybe they'll say nobody ever uses one. You know, I've got somebody right now, these kids that are working on a device, they call it hot water heater helper. And it's a thing to drain the calcium out of the bottom of a hot water heater, which is a great, in concept, a good idea. But what they've done, they are talking to plumbers, they're talking to Home Depot and to Lowe's, and what do they think about it. So, you know, do your research. That's the most important thing of all, is your market feasibility. Is there really a market for it? Because if you're not going to sell it, don't beat your brains out and do it. You know, just stop right there. That's more important than a patent by far. It's more important than your business plan. More important than anything is to make sure you're going to have customers, okay? And there's lots of ways that you can do that as you progress with your idea. You can do study group surveys and, you know, focus groups and things like that that I think students do a lot of on campus when they're working on their project. Any questions on any of that? Okay, and you're going to think about marketing channels. I think there's a discussion of that in there too. How you're going to distribute your product, or how you're going to get the word out there about your service. You've got to think about that. Who's going to be the middleman? Are you going to maybe just license your technology? You know, like these kids I'm working with hot water heater helper. I don't know that they're going to start making this little device thing, this little snaky thing. I think probably what they're going to do is end up getting a patent on it, and then they'll license it to some big plumbing company or to a Lowe's, you know, and then they'll just get a royalty check from them every month. That's probably, I'll see that going. So, but you've got to think about your marketing channels. Who would be a distributor for what you have? Everybody and their dog that I see that has something, their two main goals are to get on QVC or to get it in Walmart. That's what everybody wants, QVC and Walmart. So think about how do you do that? How would you break into Walmart? Do you go to Benton, Arkansas, and what is that process, okay? So think about your distribution channels and how you're going to get it out there. And service the same way. How do you market a service and get your service out there in the world? Lots of ways to do it. We talked the other day, social media, you know, especially for a service like the Uber thing. Social media is all the rage, but you can't just say social media anymore because it's so, you all know this more than I do, you know, it's all about not just Facebook. My kids tell me that's for the old people, like I use Facebook, you know, they do all this other stuff, instant messaging, God knows what else, but whatever you do to get it out there on social media, have a discussion of that, okay, a Google campaign and all this stuff that you would do. You might discuss that and how you're going to get it out there. Now, also, we'll go back and talk about patents a little bit, okay? If you do have a patent, so much the better. I will say that. You definitely want to mention that in your plan if you do have a patent. And I don't know how much you all have talked about patents, but patents are very expensive. I know sometimes Ms. Linda's had a patent attorney that's been in and talked to some classes, and patents are expensive. A cheap one maybe might be $8,000 to get a patent done, but they're usually $20,000, depending on how complicated. If it's a big software program and it's convoluted, or versus it's just a simple water heater helper tool, you know. That depends on how many drawings and all this stuff that your patent would involve. But there's a thing that I like called a provisional patent. And this is something that you can do yourself. You all are all smart kids. If you wanted to, you could get a provisional yourself. And I think some of our students have done that in the past because that helped them when they go into these contests like Idea State U that we've talked about, to say, I have a provisional patent. Plus, when you're out there and you're in a competition, you're telling the world what your idea is, and that kind of sets a wheel in motion in the patent world. Once you've displayed something publicly, you're telling the world, and you've got so much time before you file a patent. But a provisional is something you can do, a couple $100, and And what it does, you file it with the United States Patent Office, and it basically what it does is it's just putting the world on notice that you thought of this idea on this date. That's all it is. It is not a guarantee that there is nothing else out there like it. It doesn't say you're infringing or not infringing on somebody else, because you probably are. All it is basically is just a notice to the world that I thought of this brilliant idea on February 1st, 2016. So that if you are out there and you're showing your idea to QVC, you know, and then next week you see it on QVC and you haven't sold it to them, then you've got a little bit of a leg to stand on and say, hey, you stole my idea. I've got it on record at the United States Patent Office that I thought of it on February 1st, and here March 1st, you're cranking them out, QVC, blah, blah, blah. So it gives you a little bit of protection in that sense, okay? And it also lets you say patent pending, which are the words that people like, but it's not really a patent. You know, it just kind of blows my mind that they allow you to do that, but it is just a little thing. And I like it, and it gives you a year. It's good for 1 year. And at the end of that year, you do have to file a full patent, one of those expensive jobs, okay? You have to do that, or you just let it go. Okay, that's your option. But the reason it's good for inventors that are early on in the game, and new companies like you all and startups, is that it is inexpensive, and it gives you some breathing room for 1 year, and it allows you to go out with a little bit of confidence and talk to Lowe's or somebody, or to go to these business plan competitions and show the world what you have. You've got a little something there, okay? So just think about that and think about the provisional patents, and we can always hook you up with an attorney. He likes to work with kids, and he can talk you through how to do it yourself. I think, didn't he do that for Renan last year?
He did, yes.
Yeah, he's
Very gracious.
He's a great guy, and he used to work for the United States Patent Office as an examiner, so he knows a lot of the loopholes. So that's something that you think about. So also in your business plan, you're going to have a good discussion about milestones that you have achieved so far. So milestones might be things like, I have a provisional patent, okay, because that looks really good. If there's an investor and they see things like that, they're going to like it. You might say, I won the business plan competition at Lindsey Wilson in the fall, or, you know, I placed. Those are milestones. If you've invested, you know, $1,000 yourself in, or you've got a working prototype, I've tested the prototype. Things like that. I've had a focus group. I did a survey among 100 students that said they would use my service. All of those things are considered milestones. Okay, if you've sold a few, man, that's really great. That's a really good milestone. Or if you have somebody that has implied that they'll buy a few when you start cranking them out, they'll buy the first 100, that you have a verbal commitment from company X to buy so many. Those are all things that are milestones that you want to brag about in that business plan. Okay, those are things that investors like to see, because they're like, oh man, that girl's on the ball. She's already got customers lined up. She's got a provisional. She's looking good, right? So think about that. Have a little discussion in there. I just think it really makes your business plan stronger if you list those milestones. And any skin in the game that you have, you know, if you've invested $500 or whatever, they'd like to see, or that you've invested 2 years of research of your time, things like that you have devoted to this. You want to have a discussion of that. Okay, now then we need to talk about the real purpose of why you're doing it is to get money, right? So how much money do you need? That needs to be in there. Sometimes people come to Venture Club, and no matter how much I've coached them and begged and pleaded, they never get to the point. They never get to the point of telling. They never make the ask. They get up there and they're real proud of their baby. They've created a baby, and they're so smart, and that's all they want to talk about. They want to keep showing you the baby. that they have made because they're proud of their invention, and they just use up their whole 10 minutes going on and on and on about the baby. And they never get to the punchline, which is, I'm here to get $100,000. So, you want to have a discussion in there, in your business plan, of what it's going to take to make this happen, okay? And talk about, if you need $100,000, what you're going to do with it. Are you going to use $10,000 to pay for a patent, and $10,000 for a feasibility study, and, you know, so much to make a run of the widgets? You're going to manufacture 1,000 of them, whatever. Or you're going to go to trade shows, maybe. That's what a lot of clients do. They get money so that they can go to these big trade shows around the country to display what they have. That's what my insurance girl did. She went to Las Vegas to a trade show for insurance adjusters, took her demo of her software, her schedule it, and had people lined up and down. And so then when she came back and put that in her pitch, here's a picture of me at the Las Vegas trade show. People are begging for this. You know, if only I could make it. And that's how she ended up raising $1 million. But think about and discuss it in your business plan. How much money you need and what you're going to do with it. Okay? People seem to leave that out. So we want a good discussion of that. That's in the Idea State U. That's some of the things that we look at and we really hone in on it. Okay? Also, we want a discussion about who you are. Okay? If you're looking to have an investor invest $100,000 in you, they want to know who in the heck is this person that I would entrust this $100,000 to. They don't have a track record, you know, they're not up and going company, they're new. Why on earth would I give them $100,000? So you need to do a nice resume about who you are. Are you a 4.0 student at Lindsey Wilson? Are you captain of the football team? Are you, you know, the head of your sorority? Have you worked part-time? What has been your job? Have you had other entrepreneurial endeavors, even if it's just, I've been mowing lawns since I was 10 years old and I've had my own business doing that. Anything that you can impress someone with your skills, okay, that can come into play. So I know you're young, so you don't have a big resume that you can fill in there, but things like that, clubs that you're president of, or an officer in a club, or just being involved, anything student life that you've done and work life, so that they see that you're a go-getter. That's what you're trying to convince them of, that you've got that entrepreneurial spirit. Entrepreneurs are different. We're cut out of a different cloth, okay? You're not the kind that works 9 to 5, okay? You're different. So, and you want to let them know that that's what you are, okay? So I think if you cover all of those things, your problem, solution, value proposition, marketing channels, marketing feasibility, my favorite thing, your milestones, funding needed, purpose of the funding, and who you are, and then you wrap it up with the really fun, good stuff, the financials, all right? And how many, on their business plans, how deep in the financials are they getting down in the weeds? Pretty.
Well, they will be looking at things like a pro forma statement, and then specifically a break-even point, because we're interested in when will you start making some money.
That's right. And don't worry about that in your financials either, because investors expect to see that. Okay, they know year one, I mean, that's what all these that we look at. Year one, you're going to be in the red. Year two, you're going to be in the red. You know, depending on what you have. You know, I'm on the hospital board at our hospital in Hardin County. And yesterday we were looking at a pro forma for hiring a doctor, you know, and we know we're going to be in the negative with this guy up until year 5, you know, because doctors have big salaries. But we know that doctor is going to be bringing his business to the hospital, but until he gets ramped up and gets his practice going, we're going to be in the negative. But we still hired him at a daggone big salary. But we know, but it didn't worry us. We know. So don't think that people are gonna be worried when they see that negative. Don't be afraid to put it there. And do put it there, because they're gonna be suspicious if you make it look too pretty, you know? But you gotta figure out where your break-even point is. Usually, you know, maybe year 2, year 3, depending on what you have. You know, with this was a big investment, so we're looking at year 5 on this doctor. But don't be worried about that. But do try to figure out where your break-even point is. Okay, I need to see that. So anybody want to tell me what their good ideas are? Did I talk to either one of you the other day?
I think so.
You want to tell me? How about give me a pitch?
I don't wanna give a pitch yet. We haven't done that yet.
Okay, well, what's your idea?
Basically, it's a nonprofit organization that helps teachers get school supplies for their classrooms.
Oh,
So,
okay. Did I not see you in a business plan before?
I was in the, not last fall, but
And you had
the
it
fall
then, didn't
before,
you?
yes.
I remember that. I knew that idea. I'd heard that before.
That was my freshman year.
Yeah, I remember that. Well, good. You're sticking with it. Okay, good job. What about you? What do you got?
It's an app that allows the biggest fan of sport or biggest fan of the athlete to create their own fan page.
Neat. Okay. Apps are, man, they're the thing. You know, I've had so many people with apps that have done really well. The Investor Club has invested in some companies with apps. They just invested one called Mom's Med Minder that this girl came up with about tracking her kids' medicine. So, you know, apps are hot. So this is to track your own, make your own fan page for somebody that you like.
And then people follow you and they're up to date with everything you know.
Yeah, okay, cool, I like it.
Lisa, do you have any resource that they could tap into for developing an app? We're really at a loss here. We're looking at, we're calling it long-term, but hopefully it's more short-term. Some resources to help students develop apps, but do you have a resource that they could reference or tap into that we're not aware of at this time?
Well, you know, we've got companies that do apps. Now, we've got like Red Pixel down in Owensboro that we like, they've done apps for companies. But I was thinking, Chris Tanner taught a class on how to develop your own app.
Really?
He came up last year, he did a class for me that it was 3 hours. 1 hour was devoted to crowdfunding.
Okay. I know
1
that's
hour was
right.
about intellectual property and patents. And 1 hour was about creating your own app.
Oh, really?
There was. I could have him email me that, because he had a kind of a little PowerPoint presentation, and there was a way to go on the web and create your own app, because Waverly, my daughter, was in there, but she wanted to hear about how to create. She was only, 15, and so she went to the class to hear about how to do it, and she figured it out because she was in some kind of app for babysitting thing. So he could tell us, we could be in touch with him. He might even be able to come up and talk to us.
Is he still in Florida?
He's in Florida, but he comes up all the time
Does
because
he?
he does a lot of legal work over in Hardin County for the hospital.
Does he? He's the patent attorney that we had on for the class last year. He's also the attorney who helped with our students get the 2 provisional patents
We
last
could
spring.
get him to come back up because
That'd be great if
he's
we
going to be teaching a class for me. I put him off till May, but he said, well, I'm going to be there in March. So we might,
Would we tap into
we could
that?
tap into him and see if he could come up and talk to
That'd
the
be
class
great.
again, because he loves to come up here.
Oh, he loves to talk, and he's just a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah, and he can help you. Oh, yeah, he likes
He
to
is.
talk.
He's interesting.
He
So
does. He can
we
talk
would
to you
even
about
maybe
your
sign up for 2 or 3 hours. I mean,
yeah,
if
we
you
could
wanted
do
to do all
provisionals.
3.
Yeah, just like you did with me. I called it an entrepreneurial evening of education.
Okay.
And I had a full house of people. I just put it in the
I
newspaper.
think, don't you
And
think
it
we
was-
could get a full house
And
here?
it was about crowdfunding. And yeah, we ought, I'll get in touch with him then.
Yes, if he's going
It
to
would
be here
be
in
really
March,
good.
we'll try to work around. Hope it's
Okay.
not our spring break.
Yeah, when is spring break week?
It's the 14th through the 18th.
Okay, well, I'll try to get something set up and see, because I know he said he was coming up in March.
Okay.
And
Well,
that's, and he showed us just a way to create your own app.
He's very intelligent, so.
Yeah, he's a genius, actually. He's a little odd, but But geniuses usually are, but he speaks like 5 or 6 languages
He does.
fluently, and
Love
yeah,
it.
it's just a trip.
And he loves to come to Lindsey. He wants to be a partner with Lindsey.
He does. Yeah, he's just a real good guy.
He
He's
is.
sweet, so we ought to get him up here.
But let's try it,
Okay.
because that would be, crowdfunding is very important. And the patent, we've talked about it, but he could actually
He could
walk
talk to you and
through
talk
that.
you way through doing a provisional on your own,
Yeah,
which
And-
we need to for our kids on the
yeah.
Iowa State U team.
And the app would just be tremendous. I think we could fill
Yeah, I'll talk
any
to him.
location we had here. Don't you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, the young ones really want
Oh,
to know how to
yes,
do that,
yes.
like Waverly going to that
Yes.
one, and I had it for adults, but she wanted to go sit in,
Yeah.
so.
Well, if you could.
Okay, I will do that.
That'd be great.
I'll do it.
and
We'll
We'll
try to get him set up. Now, do you all have any questions for me as you struggle through this? If you do, I'll be happy to talk to you or email me if you've got a question. If you're hung up somewhere when you're working on that business plan, I gave all of you a card, just email me. And, I can talk you through it and write some things. Like last year when we were doing that idea thing, I was like, what if it sounded like this? Because I was snowed in. We were up to our neck in snow during that week, and we were all going back and forth with their business plans, and we were writing and rewriting.
And that's one thing I was thinking about when Lisa was speaking. It is so important in your business plans to use business terminology.
Right. It is.
That's why we're trying in here to really educate you about the terminology. You could tell the difference in a presentation where the terminology is just being used. It is more impressive.
Right.
So you need to learn to use the terminology. Angel investors, venture capitalists, harvest strategy, marketing channels. Those are all words that should be flowing off of your paper and your tongue as you're presenting. It just gives a different perspective of the presenter.
Well, thank you all.
Thank you.
So
Great job.
Thanks for having me. It's always fun.
I will see you on Friday.